It's always good to see you. I know you've had a busy summer. It's good to see you in person.
Yeah, no, it's been great to see you too, Gary. I think it's been a long summer for me, but I'm glad to be back in the mountains and back home in Pikeville.
It's exciting, Coach, because when you get back, it means uh, players are back on campus, first day of practice, seeing all of those guys come back in, but also seeing you and Coach Anthony Houck back in Kentucky is always good as well.
Yeah, no, it was a fun summer out in the West Coast League, and getting the opportunity to go do that, and Coach Hauk getting out of the country for the first time and getting to explore a little bit of that. And we've been, first practice was today, and got to see the guys and kind of what they're all about. And then we've been essentially doing conditioning a couple weeks before that.
Well, before we're going to do a little housekeeping here, Coach, we'll get a little bit closer.
A little closer.
I'll make sure
There we
everybody
go.
can hear that
There we
perfect. Good
go.
deal. So, Coach, this is season 5 for you for the University of Pikeville. Being an alum of this program, love seeing the stability as far as the staff is concerned. Coach Tyler Russell, the pitching coach, has been with you all for all. This is his 5th season as well. Of course, you have Anthony Houck, who he played here for 4 years, and this is year 4 coaching for him as well.
Yeah, it'll be year 4 for him. Yeah, it's nice to have the same faces around, obviously for the stability of our program, and for me, having the same faces that I get to coach with each and every day that understand who I am and my philosophies, and just give stability for the guys, alumni that are coming back, and they know the coaching staff, and they know what this program means to them and to us, and it's been nice to have those guys around. And obviously we added a new coach this year, Josh. He's going to help out with pitching. He's from California. And he got drafted in the 30th round by the Dodgers, played Division I baseball for 3 years, logged a lot of innings, and he's going to bring a lot of knowledge and wealth with him.
So, Coach, I want to learn more about Coach Josh here
Yeah,
just a second
can.
as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, season 5, kind of rewinding. What's your takeaways from the first 4 seasons, Coach?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of growth within the program. I think there's obviously when we got here, it was a lot of work that needed to be put in, and we knew that coming in. This program's meant a lot to me over my time of giving me my first start into coaching. So for me to be able to kind of give back the knowledge and stuff that I have, and the time and the effort and everything that goes into it, I feel like I'm pouring my heart and soul into it. And it's taken a lot of work to get to this point. As far as the facility upgrades we've done since we've been here, I never thought it'd be possible, and I think a lot of people have helped us get that done. And even just you doing this broadcast for us, I never thought we would have had that back in 2016, right? So there's a lot of great things happening here at the University of Pikeville. Administration's been great and supporting us and everything like that. And I think building off of last year. Winning a conference tournament game and falling 4-1 to a team that ultimately has been in the World Series back-to-back years and went to a regional and hosted a regional, and then we fell short in that morning game. And I still think about that morning game, just purely off the fact that we shouldn't have lost that, but we did, right? And that's sometimes the way baseball is.
And you talk about you shouldn't have lost that ball game because y'all hit them. I mean, by a wide margin. I think it's like 11 hits for the Bears, only 4 for Reinhardt, but we got beat 4-1. It's just situational hitting. But you talk about this ever since you've been at the University of Pikeville. You mentioned about climbing the mountain, and definitely that's what's happening. You go from a program in your first year, you had 17 wins, then you get 23 wins, 30 wins, and then 27 wins. On the cusp of 100 wins as leading the Bears program, but also kind of climbing that mountain. With one of your goals when you got hired, you was telling me I want to be able to win 30 ball games, and then the next goal was to start winning some ball games inside a conference tournament. And then also I know you want to host a regional if possible. So in that first 4 years, those goals, Coach, are you satisfied with the team's done so far?
Yeah, I'm satisfied. I think you could look back at a lot of people that have impacted this program to get it to this point. Like I said, it takes a lot of people, but I think the impact that people have had here is what makes this place so special. As far as the wins and losses, yes, I'm happy with the last 2 seasons, not the first 2. But I think we only have room to grow off of that. And for me, I want to make a regional. That was a goal here. It hasn't been done here in a very long time, and I think it's totally doable. I have a saying. It's this. When I have recruits come in, and this is my Cumberland. Woody Hunt's a big mentor of mine that spent a lot of time at the Cumberland, Tennessee, and he was a great coach. but the University of Pikeville is my Cumberland.
It's that's something you mentioned it too, Coach, as far as um, what this program has meant to a lot of different people in the past. You do such a good job of bringing the alumni back, keeping everybody posted of what's going on around the program, but also the guys who've graduated in the last 10 to 12 years. A lot of those guys who are from other states, other countries, are still living in Pikeville because of the impact of what the University of Pikeville done for them, not only through on the university, but Coach, a lot of big of it's due to baseball.
Yeah, no, we have a bunch of guys that just won't leave. They're working at the university. I actually was playing with one of them in a co-ed softball tournament this weekend. Nolan Fernandez, he's still here, and Jeremy Polito, Tyler Freeze, Cam Revolt just graduated, and he was funny. He called me. He said, "Coach, I'm tired of cutting grass this summer." He's like, "I miss baseball. Would you take me back as a volunteer coach?" I said, "Absolutely, dude. Let's go." So. It's cool to see, and then guys still come back on a weekend to go golfing with people around here and swing by and say hi. And I think that's what building a program is all about, is having people that don't want to leave. They want to be here and be a part of what we're doing, and they miss it. So I think it's a special place for me.
You mentioned Woody Hunt in Cumberland, Tennessee, and he had a lot of success when he led that program. Of course, his son took over as coach at Cumberland, Tennessee, and just a solid program, but it was built on the foundation of what you're building the foundation of this program currently, getting the past coaches back involved in the program, but also the alums. So definitely, as an alum, we appreciate what you're doing, but also love seeing that win total keep on going up too. I mean, definitely when we play, we want to make sure these young men are getting the education and they're supposed to be getting and having a good time playing baseball, but also when they play ball, let's win the ball game, Coach.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, and I tell a lot of them, and I'm sure administration would like saying this, they could go to school a lot of places in America, and they come here to play and be a part of this baseball program. And I push the education piece. We've won academic team of the year back-to-back years, but I really, they're here to play baseball at the University of Pikeville, and we push the education piece, and we ensure that they're doing the right things in that aspect. But, when you get here, your best part of your day is to step on that baseball field.
And, Coach, even when I worked in admissions here at the university, it was helping people find their why. And like you talked about, there's so many different institutions you go to, big, small, medium. But what's the why? What are you looking for as a customer? And I think a lot of times at a NAIA school, it is athletics, and come in and be able to continue just that playing of the sport, whether it be just wanting to get better at the sport, whether it be staying involved, or want to get into coaching, want to be a teacher. I kind of get, here at the NAIA level, you get to do a lot of different things as far as a player is concerned. I mean, you're taking care of the field. when I was getting everything set up for the interview with you, there's a lot of guys doing the laundry. There's a lot of things that a coach would do, right? And so you learn that here at the University of Pikeville.
Yeah, no, I mean, they have to do everything from the laundry to the field maintenance to, picking up trash. It's when you play at this level and at the Division II level, there's not someone there going to be, holding their hand doing stuff for them.
But it's not a bad thing, I don't think.
I think it's great. I mean, it builds them into hardworking, really good workers when they go out in the workforce too.
So, Coach, let's talk about this new recruiting class you have come in, and you send me your list over, and you'll be seeing on the screen pitchers and position players. Let's start with the pitching staff. That list was rather larger, Coach. What's the philosophy this year?
Yeah, no, I think we brought in, I think 14 to 15 arms this year. We just didn't have the depth in years past when you can go deeper into a tournament. We had great pitchers. I'm not saying we didn't, but we just didn't have the depth that would allow us to go deeper into postseason runs. And I wanted to put a really big emphasis on allowing us to have that opportunity. We brought in a ton of quality arms. There's a couple that you'll see this year that I think are outstanding. And we've got some young guys that I think have a lot of potential as well.
So, Coach, you talked about not only just quality of arms, right? And a lot of guys who are played at the collegiate level, some at the level guys who are coming back to play at the University of Pikeville. When you and Coach Tyler Russell and Coach Anthony Houck sat down to evaluate what players you want to offer a scholarship to and how much of a scholarship, can you walk us through that process, Coach?
Yeah, I think it's one, you're putting up numbers. I think, when you're looking at, high school and transfer guys, you're looking at how many innings do they throw, what were the quality innings, all the number that kind of go with that. You're also looking at film or seeing them in person and seeing what makes them special, everyone, on our team brings some sort of value. And what value are we going to put more weight on, and what value are we maybe not going to put as much weight on? And I think that kind of comes down to what we offer as far as a scholarship. It could be simply, velo for a pitcher with a good slider, or it could be a guy that maybe can hit really good, but his defense isn't as solid, or he has all of the things, right? So we just kind of weight it and value what we want to spend money on in each year.
Well, definitely the class you brought in this year, it is the the quality of player is encouraging that I've seen, and also to mix in the returners that you have. I mean, you and Coach Tyler Russell and Anthony Houck have built a very solid foundation already. The returners that you guys have coming back, you have some plus arms coming back. You have guys who can hit the baseball, guys who can field the baseball. And was really impressed last year, Coach, the development of certain players throughout the year who just kept on getting better from game one to game two to game three. That's an testament to the coaching staff.
Yeah, I think there's a good plan in place for a lot of the guys. I think how we're operating of managing the pitching and the hitting kind of separate in some ways to create some competitive balance, but also mixing them in together at practice. I think our pitchers run through their routine before practice starts, so we can get our pitchers in there for team defense and everything else. But there's a lot of competitiveness between the two. I think the development side of a lot of our guys has been outstanding in some aspects, and maybe even some nice surprises that have been mixed in there as well. So looking forward to working with our new younger class and developing them along the way.
Yeah, it was fun to watch a lot of those guys who, I don't want to name names and start leaving out somebody, but there's
Sure.
several guys I can name who just as a freshman, you're thinking, well, he may be a junior or senior year before they start playing. And then their sophomore year, they start getting an opportunity and they getting another opportunity. And by the end of the year, it's like, the first guy out of the bullpen, or this guy's going to be the pinch hitter, or next guy he's going to be playing third base. Definitely, it goes back to your recruiting philosophy, recruiting the right guys, and getting them in. But so we talked about the pitchers, Coach.
Sure.
Let's talk about the position players. Didn't as many position players coming this year. Again, you had a lot coming back. What goes into the recruiting process? I know you're talking about the velocity side for the pitchers. What about position players?
Yeah, no, I think the hitting side for us was a little different than usual. We usually are looking for a couple big bats that can drive in some runs. We kind of went for more speed, gap to gap kind of guys this year with a lot stronger defense. And I told the guys at practice today, I said, look, this team's not going to be built on running the ball out of the yard or hitting even doubles. Like, we're going to be grinding for runs. We're going to defend at a really high level, and we're going to pitch. And we're built on pitching and defense this year. For me, that's not the most exciting baseball. I like seeing the ball go out of the yard. That's just me, the hitter in me. But I think, just with what we've done in the years past, I had a real heart-to-heart with myself and said, we got to do it this way this time. And I think, I told the guys, we sat down what our goals were this year and all that kind of stuff in the cage. And we didn't field very good last year. We fielded 944, I believe, and we only stole 71 bags, and we were thrown out like 25 times out of the 71 attempts. We were thrown out 25 times. And for me, that's not an offense that I like to run. So we switched it up, and that's kind of the way we went with it.
You talk about running, and you definitely are very aggressive on the base path as far as going from singles to doubles, triples, or even trying to score from second base on base hits. And you talk about recruiting that speed, and I think that's what I really admire about what you do for the program is you recruit for what you're wanting to do, which I know it sounds kind of silly to say, but you truly do that. You just don't get in awe when you go, oh my goodness, this guy can hit the ball out of the ballpark so many different times, but is it fitting what the system that you're wanting to play? And I think you and Coach Russell and Coach Houck have done such a good job of bringing in the right players. And it's a mix of international players, domestic players, local players. It's just getting the right guy for the right fit for your program.
Yeah, no, we have guys, like you said, we've got guys from all over the place, Canada, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, a lot of guys from Washington State this year, California, Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia. They're all over the place. And, I think you can, any guy can be anywhere as long as he fits our program. As long as his morals are good, his attitude's good, and he fits the way we're going to play the game. And, it may not be the flashiest thing in the world, but it works, and it works for us.
Well, and I think that as my mama would say, the proof's in the pudding, right? And
Right.
definitely, as you see, as the win total continues to climb for you in your time at University of Pikeville, and now getting opportunities to coach and we'll talk a little bit about the West Coast League that you coach in this summer up in Canada a little bit more. That's a very high level baseball also. But I think your reputation is, of course, I know you played in that league back in your playing days, but your reputation of running a quality program and developing players, that word's getting out right now. Where that's where you have opportunities to coach up in Canada. So let's jump north of the border.
Sure.
Let's talk about your summer, Coach. So you and Coach Houck went. You talked about Coach Houck's first time out of the country.
Yeah.
Talk about the summer.
Yeah, I know the summer was kind of a full circle moment for me. That's where I grew up playing. I got to play in Soroxon Stadium where the Nanaimo Night Owls are at. For me, that first game, I almost had tears in my eyes just because of how excited I was to do that, right? And be in my hometown where I grew up and go through the NNBA system, just like the Babe Ruth programs here in Pikeville. We had like 2,000 people on opening night. We had some Pikeville guys up there with us, Dawson Schultz, Richter Castillo, and I'm going to leave someone out, I think. And then we had Cole Carmichael, who he signed. Easton Mold and Teague Van Dyke were up there, as well as Reed Sutton played a little bit with us as well. But, for me, that was just a full circle moment. Baseball is a really high level. Our team didn't have a bunch of Stanfords and Oregon States like a lot of the other people, but we competed. We had a bunch of walk-off wins that were a lot of fun. And I got to meet a lot of guys from a lot of different areas, and they had a big impact on me this summer of, what they had to do with their programs, and I took little bits and pieces from that, and we're going to bring it back here.
And Coach, you're used to coaching at a high-level baseball. I know back in your time here, you've seen a summer up in the Cape Cod League, which is you talk probably the top in the United States. Is probably the top level,
the top
of the collegiate league, and you had an opportunity to coach in that level. And now, running the program at the University of Pikeville, only 3 wins away from 100 wins, and then also now getting opportunities to return back home and be the head coach. It shows you're doing things the right way, Coach.
I appreciate that, Gary. And I never thought, I know I'm going back a little bit here, but I never thought I'd be a head baseball coach growing up. And it was a dream of mine. It wasn't something I thought I'd ever get to do. And to be able to coach this program and coach, the Night Owls and have the Cape and all that stuff, it just shows you if you work hard, you can do, pretty much anything you want to do.
But you said it was through hard work, right?
Yeah.
And you definitely got to kind of put your time in. And
yeah, there's no days off in this.
And it's also just not putting time in. You got to put in the right time.
Sure.
And you've taken advantage of a lot of great opportunities. So let's jump back over to the newest staff member, Coach. Can you tell us more about Coach Josh?
Yeah, no, Josh is he's kind of a guy that honestly Nolan Fernandez is the one who recommended him to us, and I'm sitting up in the West Coast League this summer, and my GA calls me and he says, I'm not coming back. And I said, oh, no. What am I going to do? I'm running this up here. Had to go through hiring a GA over the summer. And
oh, no, let's say the GA left for a good reason.
Yes, he got a new job. Yes, he got a new job, and we're excited for him. He's going back home to teach at his high school and coach over there, so we're excited for him. But for me, it wasn't good news. So I had to go up there and figure out how we were going to hire a guy while I was gone. And we did an interview with Josh over the phone. I liked him right away, asked him a bunch of questions, and we hired him. And he's been great ever since. He's got a ton of experience. He played at baseball at Golden West, was drafted in the 30th round by the Dodgers out of Golden West, pitched 2 years at UC Irvine, and then his last year at I'm going to screw this up, UNLV. Where he logged like 68 innings as a starter at UNLV, so he brings a lot of knowledge.
And also as he was wanting to grow as a coach, Tyler Russell, who pitched at a high level as well, Division I pitcher, pitched in the Mid-South with Lindsey Wilson, took them to a back-to-back World Series as a pitcher. Now he'll be able to grow as a pitcher as well. But also I'm sure Coach Russell likes to have another pitching in mind with him as well, because a lot of those guys, when you're starting to log a lot of bullpens and, maybe even some analytics throughout the ball game, having somebody else with a pitching mindset, because you and Coach Alk are really on the offensive side. Right. Have been two of the best that I know, but now you have two of the better on the pitching side as well.
Yeah, no, and I think it was important to go hire another pitching guy, not because Coach Russell isn't doing a good job. I think he's doing an outstanding job. It's because of how many guys we got now. I like I was telling you earlier, we have 22 pitchers and 22 position players. So they need another guy over there to make sure they're on top of their stuff and no one's slacking off, right? So I think it was a huge addition.
Because if you talked about the development of guys, whether we can to position players or pitching, I think it's because of the one-on-one time they've gotten with the coaching staff. So now when you're starting to have a roster where you have as 22 position players and 22 pitchers, you do need to have the balance of having two guys. So
Yeah.
Another great find for you.
Yeah, it was outstanding.
So, Coach, as far as, and here's the closing question for you here. The 2026 season will be here before you know it, and as you start fall practice today, what do the Bears got to do throughout this fall to prepare to be successful in the spring?
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to us working at a very high level. If we're not going to work and we take days off, I think we're going to fall short of our goal. I think this group is going to have to work extremely hard for that goal that we talked about at the first meeting. It's not going to come easy to us. I laid it out for them. If you lose 7 or more games, you're not finishing in the top 3. That's how competitive our conference is. I think it's the number 1 NAI conference in the country. It's one of the only conferences that usually sends 3 or even 4 teams to a regional. And we are going to have to work extremely hard to be able to do that.
And I want to give another statistic as far as to show you how competitive the AAC is. 2 seasons ago, you had 2 AAC teams meeting in the national semifinals for an opportunity to play in the finals. 2, and you almost had 3. Milligan was a win away from having 3 teams of the final 8.
Yeah.
Almost half the field was going to be from the AAC, so definitely a very strong conference.
Yeah, no, it's extremely strong, and to be fair, we haven't played Tennessee Wesleyan and Reinhardt in the regular season, and I'm excited to play them this year in the regular season purely off of the fact that I'm tired of hearing about us not playing them. So I'm excited to go and face those big dogs and go get after it with them.
Well, Coach, I know you're not scared of facing anybody as far as that's concerned. It's not because you've just decided not to schedule those guys. It's just the way
the schedule worked.
Yeah, when UPIKE came in, and it was just one of those things. It's a scheduling thing, so now it's on a rotation as well too. Well, Coach, I know this won't be our last interview, but definitely I was excited when you had some time this evening, and I had a great opportunity to see the guys and also have welcome you back, and just I'm ready for a little UPIKE baseball, Coach.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be back and get after it.
Awesome. Cody Andreychuk, Gary Justice with Justice Broadcasting Network signing off. Appreciate you guys tuning in.